My name is Evan, and this is Coach's Take. I have a special guest here today who does not do lukewarm. Okay.
No.
Just imagine a haystack here. What would happen if I strike a match and throw it on top of it? Oh, it'd be a fire.
Oh,
It'd be a
would be.
big fire.
Yeah, it would.
What I mean by that is when I met with Jason the first time, he said, always be branding. And that was something that I've taken, but now I see him. He's wearing orange. He has flames on all of his material. He's living his authentic self, being really who he is, a fire starter. This is the only person I know that can set a bonfire in a boardroom.
Ooh, I like that.
He's igniting.
Mhm.
He's igniting the salespeople that he comes across, sales leader and salespeople, burning a fire into their game.
Yeah.
Okay, this is somebody who today is going to be honest and tell the truth, because it's either you like it or it's indifferent. But in sales, listen, we got to tell it how it is. I
That's
really
right.
appreciate that about you.
I appreciate you saying that.
And you know what they say? When you play with fire,
You can get
sometimes you
burns.
get burned,
That's
okay?
right.
In a good way.
Right.
So a special guest we have today on Coach's Take, my guest, Jason Barnaby.
Evan, I'm so excited to be here, man. So proud of you for doing this. It's really cool.
Man, I love it. I love it. You know what's interesting is you came and was our coach. I guess you were our coach in relief
Mhm.
as Brian from Blind Zebra was
Mhm.
having to do his referee duties.
Yep.
You came in and you kind of read the room. Like I said, you were just mingling amongst us.
Mhm.
But then when you turned on for our networking meeting, when you turned it on, you were extremely impressive.
I appreciate that.
And you talked about a lot of things. You talked about some of the stuff that was part of our cohort.
Mhm.
You brought in your experience.
Mhm.
But one of the things that you share with us is about always be branding.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're
ABB.
living that.
ABB.
ABB.
Because if you've seen that movie, Glengarry Glen Ross, which is a terrible movie, they talk about ABC, right? Always be closing.
Yes.
You only just need to watch that scene.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay. One of our friends, Ashley Cuellar, says, always be curious for the ABC. And I was like, no, always be branding, because whether you realize it or not, whether you think about it or not, you have a brand. What do people think about when they see your name on a meeting invite? Oh, damn, I don't want to talk to that guy. They're always asking questions. They never pay attention. What do they think about you before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting? And if you're brave enough to ask those questions and get the answers, you will find out what your brand is. And here's the other thing. Is that the brand you want? Because a lot of times that feedback you get, you're like, that's not what I want.
Well, what's interesting about that is the authenticity is, I think you have to associate with your brand. When we talk about, your fire starter, your brand, the fire, the orange, you're not faking that. I mean, like,
No.
it's like
No.
for somebody to wear orange and to live in that lane, that's real.
I drive a bright orange Jeep Compass, and I get text messages sometimes when I'm driving. They're like, people are like, you just cut me off, or I just saw you speeding down the left side, or somebody sent me a picture of my car in the airport garage. It's like, where'd you get off to?
Yeah. Well,
hard to miss.
Well, that goes into how you're different in the market, right? I mean, you stand out. People remember you. So we got to talk about how this thing all started, because there had to be a point to which you turned the light switch. No, you struck the match.
Right? There you go.
There's got to be a point when you struck the match. But share just a little bit about how that became.
So it's funny because I didn't sit down and do like a brainstorming session, like what's going to be the best thing that I can brand, and what has all these taglines that can go with it, and what has all this tension between, fire and extinguishers and all those things. I went to a conference and I went to a breakout session, and the person who was leading the breakout session was like, write a book in 6 weeks. I think that was her shtick. And I was like, that's bullshit. You can't write a book in 6 weeks. So I went, and she gave us this exercise, and she said, you can either talk about, like, write down what you think your chapters would be called, or write your introduction to your potential readers. And that's all I needed, man. I started writing, and at that time I had worked in the corporate world for about 8 years. My tenure in the corporate world lasted for almost 10. And what I saw over and over is just people who had no fire. I literally, I got on an elevator damn near every Monday, and there was a guy on the elevator, and I'm the kind of guy, like, all the energy. I get on and I'm looking at you on the elevator.
Mhm.
I don't turn around and look at the thing. I look at everybody on the elevator and they're like, don't look him in the eyes, right? They're like, we don't want to. And I would see this guy and I'm like, Joe, what's up, man? And this is exactly the way Joe would. Joe answered me like this for almost 10 years. He'd go,
You heard it.
not bad for a Monday. And I'm like, these people have no fire in their belly. So my original, I don't know if you know Jenny Robbins. She used to work with Brian.
Probably.
She's worked with tons of people that we both know. But I hired her to help me put a framework together for my business. And we were kicking this thing around about fire. And the framework originally was find your fire, fan your flame, tend your tribe, like pay attention. It's now moved to find your fire, fan your flame, ignite your life. But that's just, I liked orange. I used to be a redhead. I'm not anymore, but I used to be a redhead and red didn't look good on me. And so I'm like, well, and I don't really like yellow. So I was like, orange is it.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's good. Orange is actually is a color of creativity
and a color of hope and a color of energy.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, but you are igniting the lives of the people that you serve.
That's the hope.
So you're in the coaching space.
Yep.
So you bring some of this.
Oh yeah.
When you talk about people don't have a flame, you're bringing this to your practice. Talk about what the people that you serve and like that flame that you bring to them.
So I do fractional sales work. I used to lead a sales team. I've done a lot of sales training. I've bought sales training. I've created sales training. I've facilitated sales training. And so I work as a fractional sales leader, and I really think I love sales. I love the pace of sales. I love the fact that salespeople will go figure something out. When you work with HR people, they're like, I don't know how to, we don't have the budget. We don't have the whatever. And so when I started working with salespeople, and because they are so open to that didn't work, let's go try this. So that really attracts me. That is my personality. And also I am a certified Enneagram personality profile coach. That to me, that profile, I've taken lots of them. That profile changed my life because it taught me what my core motivators were, and it taught me how I show up in stress. And when you have people in sales who are these highly motivated doer people, typically those are a 3 on the Enneagram. And when 3s get stressed, they just go, they crawl inside of themselves. So it's like, why is this rep not answering my phone calls? Why is this rep not turning on their camera in the meeting? And so I bring both the I call it fiery accountability. We're going to have a team meeting every week, and we're going to look through the numbers, and I'm going to call like you said you're going to make 30 calls last week. You made 10. What happened? And it's not a judgment thing, but help me understand.
It's accountability.
Help me understand.
It's the root of it.
Right. Like we do in Blind Zebra. Is it up or down? Right.
Yeah.
Did you do it or not? And if you didn't, let's talk about what we need to do next week so we don't do a thumbs down the next week.
Well, the first part about getting better is the fact that you admitted where you were short, because there's a delta there. Now we figure out how to get there. But if you don't admit that you're short, then that delta disappears. It's like,
absolutely,
it wasn't my fault, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Come on now.
Right.
But talk about this Enneagram, because you got my head. As soon as you said that, it's like, oh man, this could be a whole segment.
It could be.
But you talked about, what someone is thriving with and what somebody feels when they're stressed. Talk about that. Like, there's a conversation you have to have.
So I'll use me as an example. As a sales manager back in the corporate world, happy-go-lucky Jason, high energy. I'm not in your business. I'm not micromanaging you. I trust you until I don't. I give it more than you don't have to earn it with me. I give it, and then we figure it out. But when I'm stressed, happy-go-lucky Jason becomes a micromanaging, list-making pain in the ass. And I did not know that about myself until I was in my mid-40s. And if I don't know it, how do I have that conversation with my people? And I literally did this. I walked in one day. I was pissed because my kid overslept his alarm for the 3rd time. I was late again because I used to take him to school. And I walk in, I'm thinking about these things on the way into work, and I'm mad. And in my head, I'm making this list. And I walk into the cubes, and it's the first person that I see on the right. And I'm like, hey, I need you to do boom, 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 boom. Here's the thing. That has nothing to do with that person. Nothing. But they don't know that. And also, the other 8 people on the team, they didn't get a list. Why did I get a list? And then that person later that day sent me an email and said, okay, I did the things and all I said was great. We never had a conversation about it. And also, I didn't know that that's how I behave in stress. But if they know that I'm a micromanaging list maker when I'm stressed, then they go, oh, this isn't about me. Because if I do that with my rep goes, do I need to look for a new job? Is Jason mad at me? What happened?
Yeah.
And that removes all of that head trash and all that BS from your head and keeps us focused on the thing, which is growing the bottom line.
Yeah. And that's leadership. What you seeing where your opportunities are, one, to connect with people, one, what the message, how the message was received, it's just as important as how you deliver.
Absolutely.
Right. So now you're saying, okay, this is what I did. Now you have time before the ripple effect takes place. Right. Which is, we can have a whole segment on this, because this is how my head turns, because not only am I looking to be a great leader, to lead myself, to lead others, but I'm also trying to figure out how it's perceived.
Right.
And we started this off by saying, hey, your brand is these things that are associated with you. What is that?
Right.
But so is your leadership style.
Absolutely.
So is your coaching style. Absolutely. All those things. So the more you know, the better you can tie in who you are, how you represent yourself, and if that message is actually being received.
Right. And can you imagine if I'm in a high stress job and I'm showing up all the time as stressed, and I ask my team to tell me what they think of me before the meeting, in the meeting, and after the meeting, and they're like, micromanager. I'm like, what?
That's not me.
That's not me. You have to, if you're not willing to look at yourself inwardly first, there's no way that you're ever going to change. And I don't believe there's no way that you're truly going to affect long lasting change with people. It's just not going to happen.
Man. So you developed throughout your career multiple mantras, right? Always be branding. That's just one that stuck with me, but you've got multiple.
I do.
So share one with us and just give us some insight on that.
Right here on the shirt.
Can we see it? There it is.
Comfortable being uncomfortable. And I'll tell you where this came from. I lived in Colorado after college. I was a ski bum, and a friend of mine and I had climbed a mountain. We were above the tree line. Beautiful day, blue sky, Colorado day. You could see for miles. It was just the two of us at the top of this mountain. And I'm looking out and I'm like, man, I could stay up here forever. It's so beautiful up here. And this friend was one of those people, like, he didn't say much, but when he did, you're like, let me pay real close attention to what he's saying. So it was quiet for about 3 or 4 minutes, and finally he looks at me and he goes, you know what? You're right. He goes, it is beautiful up here, and it would be cool to stay up here for a time. He said, but look at where we are. He said, we're above the tree line. He's like, nothing grows up here. He goes, look out over this valley. He said, where's the greenest part of the valley? Down in the bottom, where the roots grow deep, right? In the valleys of, and I am a firm believer, and I've worked with enough leaders to know this. If you are not willing to get comfortable being uncomfortable and deal with your own shit, it's an exercise in futility. We're just gonna go around the merry-go-round.
Man, so let's break that down, because you're in this place where it's kind of comfortable. I'm up here, like, I can live in this little bubble. Yeah. But what happens when you get in the valley? Because the contrast is, it's greener in the valley, but it's
dark.
Easiest?
It's muddy. It's you feel like you're walking through quicksand sometimes. You can't see as well because you're bumping into the trees. It's really thick. It's hard to navigate. But once you do that, on the other side, or when you get out of the valley, it's like, oh, okay, I walked through all these things to get to here.
Yeah. That's life though, right? It's like, what's interesting about the scenario is who would we be without all of our trials? Who would we actually be if we didn't have to go through something?
Yes.
Would you be the same person?
No.
You wouldn't have the same message because it wouldn't resonate.
No. And I will tell you, in 22 and 23, when I was battling a depression that I didn't know that I had, I do now, and I'm on the other side of it. But I had people telling me in the midst of it, like, oh, you're going to be so thankful for this when I was like, don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that right now. I don't want to hear that I need to be grateful for how much I'm suffering. And now that I'm on the other side, it's 100% true. Because you're exactly right. I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be able to walk into a sales team and say, I know some of you guys are stressed out. I know some of you are numbing out with alcohol and whatever else, because this job stresses you out. And we need to normalize having that conversation.
Yeah.
before we do anything else.
Well, there's the story, right? How many people are just quiet about that?
Right.
And then, please access me
Mm-hmm.
because I share that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you probably, if you're out there and you're listening, when people actually come into the room and say, you know what, I understand what you're going through, I'd seek them out.
Mm-hmm.
I'd try to play that card just to see if you actually do.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope people have said, hey, Jason, you know what, man, like, let's rap for a minute. I was like that.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Dude, I've done it a couple of times, and I am kind of a ready, fire, aim person. That's just my personality. That's
the fire.
I want to fire quicker than anything. Just let's get it done. But I did a post once after I had lunch with this person, and they were struggling, and we had a conversation. I didn't know them. It was a networking meeting that went real deep, real fast. And I walked out. It was downtown. It was at Patachou downtown. And I walked out and I did a video outside,
Mhm.
and I put my cell phone number on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
I said, here's my number. Call me.
Yeah.
I had a dude call me that I had
Really?
never met, and he left me a message, and he said, I haven't been on LinkedIn for a long time, and I opened it today, and you were the first video that I saw.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I just lost my job, and I called you before I called my wife.
Uh-oh. Man.
And that's going on all the time.
Yeah.
For somebody to pick up a phone and call a complete stranger, he cried. I mean, we had about a 15-minute conversation. Probably 8 of it was him just sobbing. I don't know what I'm going to do. He's in a much better place now, and was in a much better place 6 months from then.
Yeah.
But he just simply needed somebody to listen.
So this could turn into a whole segment. So there's something about, and this is a social media phenomena, but there's something about familiarity with social media and video. And when you turn on that video, it's like almost like you almost go into like a fourth dimension, like
Right.
where you're actually like, I know that dude. You don't know me, but I know that dude.
Right.
Like, and then you start to think like, why is he on my feed? And so you actually, any thought that you would have how weird it is, any thought that you would have to reach out to a stranger, how many times have you connected with somebody like, I'm connect, stranger, but that goes away when you're on social media. It's something now, this phenomena with the brain where you're associated with people as close as we are right here together.
Right. And it was, the funny part was I got probably 5 or 6 text messages and a couple DMs. People were like, did you really just put yourself, and you know why I did it? For that guy.
That's it.
That was it.
It's the one.
The one.
The one.
That's it.
So I'm gonna move us on, but I'm taking notes here because we may have to run this back. You know, we talked about this already.
Yep. Part 2, part 3,
part
whatever.
3, yeah, we'll just have a whole series, right? It'd be like Netflix, series 6, episode 7.
I'm down.
But let's get into some sales stuff, right? Because I've had people on here that talked about storytelling from the standpoint of marketing, from the standpoint specifically branding. Like I'm gonna brand myself. I'm gonna tell my story, and I'm challenged sometimes because it's actually me telling my story. I don't really know if I want to hear your story, but I want to hear my story.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I want you to just flip that, because in sales, I'm not a good salesperson if I'm walking around telling my story. How about that? But you have this story. You hunker down. You got this storytelling gene in you. And
I do.
You've done it with us, and you've shared stories on this podcast. But let's flip that. I don't want to sit here and talk about telling my story, but I want to be a storyteller. How do I do that in sales?
You have to. Well, let me say this: the traditional approach to sales, and people are still doing it, and I hate it when it happens, is what I call the show up and throw up. I'm gonna metaphorically bring a bag of shit into this meeting, and I'm gonna dump it all on the desk, and I'm gonna talk. I gotta get through it. And for those of you who don't have a product, but you have a sales deck, that's your show up and throw up. I coached some folks last year. They said in a typical 1-hour meeting, and these are multi-million-dollar sales, multi-million-dollar huge accounts. They said we have 65 to 70 slides to get through in an hour. And I said, can you show me some of these slides? Evan, these slides had 6 bullets, 3 sub bullets per bullet. That's 18.
Scary.
Terrible. Who want,
I can't do it.
Send me an email. Why do we need to have? And so that's the first thing. The first thing is we think that we have to lead with product. The problem with that is you come in and you're loaded and you've got an agenda. Is that what your client needs?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Do you ask any? I one time traveled with a sales rep. He finally got in to see this person that he'd been working really hard to see. He did the show up and throw up thing. I could see it because I'm on the outside and I could see this guy, this advisor, his his eyes just got big. And then you could tell he was just like, how much longer is this going to go until we can be done? We walked out into the car and he goes, man, I'm so excited. I finally got this meeting. How do you think it went? And I said, how do you think it went? And he goes, well, it's great. I got through this, got through that, talked about this, talked about that. And I said, yeah, you did. Mm-hmm. What do you think your client needed? Mm-mm. And he goes, shit, I didn't ask one question. I said, no, you didn't. And so the big shift here, Donald Miller has a great book, Building a Story Brand, if you want to read it. Mm-hmm. Make your client the hero. Mm-hmm. Look at your website. Mm-hmm. Does your website say we're going to show up and save the day? Mm-hmm. Or does your website say we want to show up and we want to partner with you so that we can help you reach the goals that you want to reach? And by the way, we don't know what those are, so we have to ask some questions. And when when those clients can see themselves in a story of a previous client, of a situation that you've dealt with in a way that you've helped somebody, and they can see themselves in that and see that they're a part of it, the power that comes from that, the cross-selling, the depth that you get with that client, the stickiness that you have, because you're not somebody who's just shown up with a commodity. You may show up with the deck, but you may also say, hey, last time we talked, we were talking about this, and that's what we're prepared to talk about. But if you want to talk about something else, we can go that way. And I'll tell you what, that scares probably 90% of the sales reps out there to death, because what do you mean we're not? But I had a 60 slide deck that we were going to talk about. Yeah, nobody gives a damn about that. No, because the market's changed, because the supply chain is screwed up. The tariffs are messing everything up.
And here's the thing about a slide deck. Even if you have 65 slides, you better not show all of them. Show what's important. Like, you should have in your mind, like it's like you have a bag, and each bag, in that bag you have a different ball for which game you want to play. So I just got a bag. I'm going to have a conversation with you. Oh, you want to play pickleball? Let's just go to the pickleball court.
Right.
Let's play basketball. Let's just go to the back. I'm going to show you what court you want to be on.
Right. And if I love pickleball and I hate football, don't show me 12. Don't show me 12 slides about football.
I'm done.
Right. And then when you get to what I really want, you probably don't have the time because you spent too damn much time on the football. And there's your situation. You've not only killed your time, but what's the odds of them wanting to sit through it? Because they don't trust that you'll get to where they need to be. Here's the thing. What most salespeople solve for is the practical problem. And that's good. That's good that you know the practical problem. But what's driving the practical problem are two things. There's an emotional problem. I'm super stressed. I'm not sleeping at night. I need to figure out a solution to this. The existential problem could potentially be, this is a brand new product launch, and the person who's running this and it's not working, they're going home at the end of the night. They're super stressed. And the existential problem is, am I going to lose my job? How am I going to send my kid to college? And if you can't tap into that, it'll be a transactional sale, maybe, but the relationship will never take hold.
We can't keep going on this, but you have to figure out what happens if you don't do this deal.
Absolutely.
Because you have to make it so clear that it's life or death.
Right.
Life or death. Your business thrives, or your business dies.
Right.
And if you can get to that Ginsu, where you can cut it down like that, right? Because it needs to be that tight. So we're going to transition to my favorite part of this show. Okay, this is the segment where I bring coaches on here. I bring leaders and entrepreneurs on here, because nobody actually has gotten to this point just by themselves.
Oh, absolutely
right?
not. Absolutely.
And so, but we always talk about our thing, and we sometimes forget that there's folks who have helped us get here. And this is the part of the show where I always give an opportunity for a coach, entrepreneur leader to come on and give a take on a coach. You got to say their name. If you can't say their name, that's fine, but name them. Number two is share what they've imparted into you that has helped shape you structure and help you in your leadership structure.
Mm-hmm.
And then just share a little bit of how you pay that forward in your practice today. You ready to give that take?
Oh, absolutely.
Go ahead and give it.
It's not a surprise to you. It's Brian Neal.
Brian Neal.
Brian and I sat across from each other 10 years ago. I lived in Europe for several years and we lost touch. And so we were having lunch and I said to him, I was like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a sales coach and a business. And I was like, okay, what the hell does that mean? And he said something I'll tell you how I'm paying it forward in a minute. But he said to me, so he as soon as he said that, he goes, and by the way, you should be in consulting. And my bullshit head trash that I had going on was, and I said this as soon as he said you should be in consulting, I said, I don't have anything to say and nobody would want to listen even if I did. And his response, he looked right at me and he goes, well, first of all, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And he said, secondly, he said, come up with 5 things that you do well that you could talk to somebody about right now, or things that have made you successful. Just make a list in your head, 5 things. I was like, cool. He goes, here's the deal. 75% of the world doesn't know that. And the other 25 needs to be reminded.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, there is no way. And I told him, and we talked about this recently, because the way I paid it forward is he was the first guest on my podcast. There was nobody else that I thought about. And when he came on, I'm like, dude, you were the obvious choice. And so we talk about it on the podcast, but I told him, I said, I didn't believe you. I said, there was no way that it was 75-25, that 75% of the world didn't know this stuff. That's like so basic, so simple. And he's like, all right. I said, and I told him, I said, I'm gonna prove you wrong. So for a year, I would put myself into situations and I would have conversations. And what I realized, I came back to him after a year and I said, I told you I was going to prove you wrong, didn't I? He's like, yep. I said, I did. He goes, really? I said, yeah, it's not 75-25. It's 90-10.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you.
Yes.
The stuff that we think everybody knows, most people don't know.
They don't. Well, humans are crafted very intricately, right? So you have these things that you do, that you say. In your mind, you pulled it from when you had this job, or you pulled it from this leader. You pulling information from these different deposits that you had, and the person that's hearing it just sees you, but they don't understand the layers that it has. So you're actually a very layered individual that comes out in a few words, and people only get about 30% of the stuff that you say. Less than 30, really. So you're coming in with this intricate detail that was layers of information, experience, hours, work to get, and somebody's getting 30% of it. So that's the first thing.
Right.
So you spend a ton of time with people, they don't really know, they never really know your story. And as I'm listening to people, I'm filtering it through my own thing.
Of course.
That's one.
Right.
Number two is that I think consulting allows you to do what you do at scale.
Yes.
Meaning, sometimes I'm meeting with somebody and we have a specific agenda and I move on. And I do that with 5 different people and they're all different. If you're consulting, you spend time with that one group and go through that program, and you spend more time, and that's your scale. And then you also have the ability to do 3 at a time, 4 at a time, 2 in a month. And so so when I see consulting, and Brian should probably look at his consulting tree, who he's talked to, and say, you should do consulting. He should have like a tree, like an Andy Reid coaching tree, or
seriously,
because we've all been mentored. I have, but we've all had good mentorship through him, so we can kind of see how it's done, right?
Yeah.
But the big piece of it too is, on top of all that, is at scale. Okay, you actually have the ability to be more authentic, what you've done.
Yes.
And that's the blind zebra branding, the Firestarter branding. You can't do that unless you do it your way.
Right. 100% agree with that. And I will tell you too, the other thing for me that really made a difference, and I know you've heard this over and over and over, is his holy trinity of old school. They used to call it the thinking column: abundance, intent, and detachment. And for me, what Brian really did for me, and this is what I think a good coach really does, I borrowed his belief in me for myself until I had enough belief in me to go do the things that I'm doing now.
That's strong. Shout out to Brian on that one.
Absolutely.
Man.
Yeah.
Man. Well, Jason, we've come to the end of the show. I don't want to keep going. But man, it's always a pleasure
Yeah.
to sit with you, man. We share a lot in common.
We sure do.
Man. And you know what? I'm wishing you so much success.
Likewise.
I
Right
already
back
see
at
it.
you.
I
Right back
already
at
see
you.
it, man. I already know. If
Yeah.
anybody's listening to this, Jason Barnaby is a guy you can reach out to. You know his branding's on LinkedIn. He's authentic in himself, and he is the man on this show.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for your time.
That is the end of our show.
All right.